During an online class, my girlfriend forgot to mute her mic. Over 200 people listened in on her date with a younger student. The next day, she was talking to me about wedding plans, while the guy was smiling and asking me for a birthday present. The entire class watched them perform, and not a single person told them the mic was still on. They were all my Avengers. Today was the TA's big review session. The class had over 200 students, and everyone logged into the conference call on time. Even though everyone was online, few were actually paying attention. My best friend, Mark, and I were just casually chatting. He asked me when Lucy and I were getting married. Should be soon, I said. Probably get our marriage license at the end of the semester. Lucy and I started dating our freshman year. We're in our second year of grad school now, so it's been 6 years. Our parents had already met. My mom and dad had some reservations about Lucy's family situation. Her family was from a small town down south. Her mother didn't work, and her father did odd jobs. They'd made it clear they couldn't offer their kids any financial help, but Lucy herself was exceptional. Besides getting great grades, she was also stunningly beautiful. In front of my parents, she squeezed my hand and promised to be good to me for the rest of our lives. My dad finally put his foot down, saying it's not where you come from that matters, and gave us his blessing. Getting your license at the end of the semester? Guess I better get ready to be the godfather. Mark and I were joking around when he suddenly pointed to his headphones. I think Lucy's mic is on. You should probably give her a heads up. I quickly walked over to my laptop. Sure enough, mixed in with the TA's lecture was the sound of Lucy humming, along with what sounded like running water. The TA said, "Lucy, could you maybe mute your mic?" Lucy didn't respond. She had probably turned her phone's volume all the way down and tossed it aside. I picked up my phone to call her. No answer. I was about to dial a second time when an unmistakable sound started playing. My hand froze. Beside me, the color drained from Mark's face. The TA's lecture stopped cold. The main class chat was dead silent, but Mark's phone was buzzing like crazy. A few of our friends from the class had already started a private group chat. WTF, what's going on? Lucy's got some serious energy, broad daylight and all. This is wild. What do you know? They're about to get married. Someone immediately tagged Mark. Isn't Leo your boy? Maybe you shouldn't tell him. This is next level cringe. Most people couldn't handle it. The messages in the group chat poured in one after another. More and more people were added, and within minutes, the group had over 100 members. Mark stared at me, sitting right next to him, too stunned to say a word. Wait, that's not Leo? What is happening? In the audio feed, the suggestive noises had stopped. A slick male voice chimed in. So who's better, me or your precious Leo? Then came Lucy's voice, dripping with affection. You, of course. The group chat went silent. No one had expected this bombshell. For a moment, everyone just held their breath and listened. The TA was a PhD student a couple of years older than us. She had the power to end the meeting right then and there, but she didn't. I guess she was just as stunned as the rest of us. My hands and feet were ice cold, but my mind was racing. I already recognized the guy's voice. It was Ethan, a younger student I was close to. Now his voice was dripping with sarcasm. You obviously like me more, so why are you still with him? Lucy laughed. So what? Are you going to help me land a job and get set up in the city? Ethan clearly didn't mind. He chuckled and said, It's fine. We can keep doing this after you're married. I don't mind. Just be careful not to get caught, Ethan said. I'd hate for things to get awkward with Leo. He's been so good to me. I just had to whine a little about never owning a designer watch, and he promised to get me one for my birthday. Lucy's voice was flat. A sucker like that is hard to find. See? That's why you're so lucky, Lucy. You seized the opportunity and saved yourself at least 20 years of struggle. They laughed together. The group chat was as quiet as a graveyard. I took a deep breath, then another, as if more air could somehow calm me down. I whispered to Mark, add me to the chat. When my name appeared in the group, everyone went silent. A moment later, one of my closest friends was the first to speak up. Leo, you okay, man? All the girls in our dorm think she's trash, too, his girlfriend added. Her roommate chimed in, we're definitely icing her out when she gets back. That trash is an embarrassment to all of us. The insults in the chat grew harsher. I typed calmly, hey, TA, could you please end the meeting now? The TA was in the chat too. A few seconds later, the meeting was over. Thanks, everyone. I hope you can all just pretend this never happened. My friends panicked. Leo, you're not seriously gonna just let this slide and go on with your life, are you? You're only engaged now. It's a big loss, for sure. But getting married would be a million times worse. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I held down the voice message button and said in a low voice, I'm not gonna marry her. But I'm not breaking up with her right away either. Everything she's scammed out of me over the years, I'm gonna make her pay it all back, piece by piece. 10 minutes before class was supposed to end, Lucy picked up her phone to check in, only to find the meeting had already concluded. She also saw my missed call and immediately called me back. When I answered, I could hear the obvious tension and suspicion in her voice. How come class ended early? She asked. And why did you call me in the middle of the lecture? I tried to sound as casual as possible. The TA wasn't feeling well, so she ended it early. So why'd you call? No reason. Just wanted to see if you wanted to get some Korean barbecue after class. I heard Lucy's voice relax a little, but she wasn't completely off her guard. I have to do the written test for my internship today. How about we go tomorrow? I grumbled a bit good-naturedly and then hung up. Speaking of which, that internship at a top investment firm? My dad was the one who pulled strings to get it for her. After talking to me, Lucy still wasn't convinced, so she went to the TA. Are you feeling better? She probed, trying to see if I had lied to her. But the TA and I had already gotten our stories straight. She replied flawlessly, much better after a nap. If you have any questions about the material, just message me privately. The TA forwarded me the chat log. Lucy should be convinced now. I clutched my phone and replied calmly, no, it's not that simple. Lucy would be heading back to her dorm soon, and she would definitely try to confirm the story with her 3 roommates. One of those 3 was my buddy Mark's girlfriend. She secretly recorded a voice memo for me. Sure enough, the moment Lucy got back to the dorm, she started asking questions. Hey, they didn't take attendance in the review session today, right? Huh? No, I don't think so. Her 3 roommates, one doing her makeup, one watching a show, one dozing off, all answered with feigned indifference. The second Lucy left, they all sprang to life. What a piece of trash. Let's not go shopping with her anymore. We don't want cute guys thinking we're all like her. Everyone played their parts perfectly. Lucy was completely in the dark, thoroughly convinced that nothing unusual had happened that day. And even less vigilant than Lucy was Ethan. He invited me to his birthday party. The reason was simple. He'd been fawning over my designer watch, sighing about how envious he was and how pathetic he felt, until I finally caved and promised to buy him one. His invitation was just a way to pressure me to make good on my promise. I accepted. Soon, Ethan's birthday arrived. The kid was a total social butterfly and had invited half our class to celebrate with him. The night before the party, I asked Lucy, I'm going to a birthday party for a younger student tomorrow. I can bring a +1. Why don't you come with me? Lucy's expression flickered for a second, but she quickly recovered, acting nonchalant. It's your friend's party. Why would I crash it? You've met him. That guy from the basketball team, Ethan. The really handsome one. Lucy frowned, pretending to think hard. He sounds vaguely familiar. What an incredible actress. I sneered inwardly. Lucy still tried to refuse, so I pretended to get angry. What, you can't even do me this one small favor? Lucy hadn't had her interview at the investment firm yet. I'd already told her that the female executive in charge of interviews was a friend of my dad's and my godmother. At this critical juncture, she absolutely couldn't afford to piss me off. Reluctantly, she agreed to go with me. On the day of Ethan's party, Lucy arrived on my arm and we walked up to him. The other students stood around us, watching the three of us together. They'd probably never seen drama this juicy in their lives. Ethan looked at me, his smile beaming. "Leo, you're here. Did you bring me a present?" I smiled, then shoved Lucy in front of him. "Here you go." The entire room was stunned. The color drained from both Ethan's and Lucy's faces. I savored their intensely awkward expressions for a second before smirking and patting Lucy on the shoulder. "What are you waiting for? The gift is in the bag I asked you to hold for me." Lucy, who had just gone pale, breathed a sigh of relief. She quickly pulled the designer watch box out of the bag and handed it to Ethan. "Leo talks about you all the time," Lucy said, flashing the polite smile of a beautiful upperclassman. Ethan took the gift, his eyes shining. "Thanks. Leo talks about you all the time, too." They must have thought they were brilliant actors. Everyone around them looked down, unable to watch. Mark quietly pulled me aside. "Did you really buy Ethan a designer watch?" I smirked. "It's a knockoff." Mark sighed. "Nobody here is genuinely celebrating his birthday. They're all just here for the show." He wasn't wrong. It was a real-life campus soap opera, starring Ethan, with Lucy as the hidden female lead. Even though everyone was trying their best not to stare, Lucy still noticed some of the looks. She came over to me. "Have you noticed a lot of the guys are staring at me?" Luckily, I was prepared. I immediately laughed. "Well, what do you expect when you're looking this beautiful today?" Lucy had always been extremely confident in her charms. And why wouldn't she be? She had a rich boyfriend like me who let her leech off him, while also keeping a campus heartthrob as a secret lover on the side. Her ego must have been through the roof. As expected, she loved my comment and looped her arm through mine with a grin. "With a girlfriend this beautiful, you'd better be on your toes. If you don't treat her right, someone else might just steal her away." I saw a guy nearby who was taking a drink just spit it all out. "What's wrong with you?" The drink almost sprayed Lucy. She wiped her shirt in disgust. Sorry. The guy choked back a laugh and rushed to the bathroom. I just suddenly felt a little sick. Lucy watched him go, then turned to me, annoyed. "Let me tell you, it's not just you guys who get competitive. Girls get jealous, too. Right. All the guys in the world are fighting for your affection, and all the girls are jealous of you." While 1,000 sarcastic comments streamed through my head, I put on a gentle smile. "You're not wrong." After placating Lucy, I stepped away and discreetly checked my phone. The group chat already had hundreds of new messages. I had my driver bring the car over. "It's parked right out front," wrote a wealthy friend of mine. "Mark, when is your cousin getting here?" That was the TA. "She's at the door now," Mark replied. "Okay. Operation is a go." The chat was immediately flooded with popcorn-eating memes. As the party was winding down, I made a point of leaving early with Lucy. When Ethan and the others left the restaurant later, a Maserati nearly clipped him. An incredibly beautiful young woman stepped out of the car, looking like a rising star from a TV drama. She apologized profusely and insisted on taking Ethan to the hospital. Ethan wasn't actually hurt, but he immediately hopped into the passenger seat of the Maserati. "It's a shame you missed it," Mark told me later, shaking his head. The way he was putting on his gentleman act and fawning all over her, it took all our willpower not to puke on the spot. I just smiled. This is only the first act. Of course, not everyone was such a great actor. Take the male vice president of Lucy's student government chapter, for instance. Mid-semester, the list of outstanding members was released. Lucy was shocked to see her name wasn't on it and immediately went to confront the VP who supervised her. The VP was a friend of our TA and had already heard all about Lucy's exploits. He had a notoriously short fuse, so when Lucy demanded to know why she wasn't on the list, he shot back, "Outstanding members are supposed to be well-rounded. You don't qualify." The TA witnessed the whole thing and frantically texted me. "OMG, I couldn't stop his temper. Do you think he blew our cover?" "Don't worry." How did Lucy react when she left? She was fuming. "Then we're fine," I said with a confident smile. Sure enough, when Lucy met me for dinner, The first thing she brought up was the VP. "He's retaliating against me," Lucy said, stabbing at her rice with her chopsticks. "He was relentlessly hitting on me last year. I turned him down, and he's held a grudge ever since. By the way, Leo, aren't you good friends with the president of the student government? Could you maybe do something? Tell the president he's using his position to get revenge. After all, the Outstanding Member Award is a GPA booster, and I only made an enemy of the VP because of you." Leo? I had been lost in thought. When Lucy's voice snapped me back, I immediately put on a look of shared indignation. "No problem. Just yesterday, the owner of the restaurant we frequented secretly told me that every time I paid and left, Lucy would come back and ask for an itemized receipt. I hadn't understood why at first, but now that she mentioned the student government, it all clicked. Ethan's drama would take time to reach its climax anyway. I might as well deal with Lucy's mess first. I immediately called the student government president. We were in the same elective and were actually good friends. After hearing me out, she laughed. I got it. The next day, at a meeting with all the student government members, the president announced that many officers had recently been misusing event funds and embezzling dedicated budgets, and that this behavior would be dealt with severely. Lucy, pale as a ghost, rushed to my dorm and grabbed me. "What did you tell the president?" I blinked innocently. "Just that she should investigate the VP. I mean, look, the VP took away your award just because you rejected him. A guy who abuses his power like that must have done other shady things. He needs to be thoroughly investigated." Lucy's face went from red to white and back again. A week later, Lucy's history of falsifying expenses and using her position to embezzle funds was completely exposed. She was kicked out of the student government and received a major demerit on her official school record. While the disciplinary notice was being posted, the president and vice president were having drinks at my family's private bar. "Sorry about that, man," the VP said to me. "I did hit on her before, but I didn't really know anyone in your department, and Lucy always acted like she was single." I understood immediately. All those pictures of us on her social media feed must have been posted to a private group of friends. Once I found out she had a boyfriend, I stopped contacting her privately. I clapped him on the shoulder. "You have nothing to be sorry for." The president smiled as she shelled a salted peanut. "You two should toast to that." I raised my glass and clinked it with the VP's. "Here's to you for dodging a bullet." The VP grinned. "And here's to you getting rid of her soon." We both drank the cold beer. After setting his glass down, the VP suddenly remembered something. "Hey man, you should be careful. After taking a hit this big, you think Lucy will come after you? Don't worry. She won't dare," I said with a cold smile. "With that demerit on her record, finding a job is going to be incredibly difficult. The only person she can rely on now is me." As I predicted, Lucy didn't blame me at all. In fact, she became completely subservient. After all, her internship at the top investment firm was firmly in my hands. Since news of her expulsion from the student government and the public reprimand had spread across campus, Lucy's reputation had plummeted. The younger students who once looked up to her as a campus icon now wanted nothing to do with her. Lucy was miserable and desperately needed some comfort from Ethan. And Ethan did indeed come to find her. Lucy assumed he was there to rekindle their romance. But the first thing out of his mouth was, "I need a Patek Philippe." Lucy was stunned. But I, having secretly seen this chat log on her laptop, wasn't surprised at all. Everything was going according to plan. Lucy used to be a beautiful standout, but now Ethan had a better option. He was getting serious with that beautiful, rich girl in the Maserati, Vivian. Lucy was just a reasonably attractive girl, but Vivian looked like she had stepped right out of a TV drama. She was rich, gorgeous, funny, thoughtful, elegant, and poised. Plus, she'd told Ethan that even though she was young, she wanted to start a family soon. I could guess exactly what was going through Ethan's mind. If he could lock down this heiress and marry her, his life would be set. He was willing to pay any price for that. Since Ethan was wearing the knockoff watch I gave him when they first met, Vivian naturally assumed he came from a wealthy family. She kept telling him things like, "I only date men with good taste. And my parents have always wanted me to marry someone from a similar background. Can you come to my house for dinner on Saturday?" I told my parents I met a guy I really like, and they want to meet you. The chance to climb the social ladder was right in front of him. Who wouldn't go crazy for it? The first person Ethan thought of was me. He begged and pleaded with me to lend him a suit and a watch. But I, already in on the plan, didn't budge. I told him I didn't like lending my things out and refused, no matter how much he tried to persuade me. I could feel his resentment growing. But getting revenge on me could wait. Tomorrow was Saturday, and he needed to assemble a complete rich kid ensemble today to secure his spot as a future son-in-law of a wealthy family. He went to Lucy. She was freaking out. "You want me to take Leo's watch? He'll find out." Ethan was past caring. "If you don't, I'll tell Leo everything about us right now. Let's see what happens to your job, your residency status, and your apartment then." Lucy wanted to curse him out but didn't dare. Finally, she choked out, "I'll give you the key to the apartment. You can get it yourself." Lucy and I had rented an off-campus apartment together. After the online class incident, I'd been making up all sorts of excuses to avoid physical contact with her and hadn't been to the apartment in a long time. Lucy figured Ethan could borrow it on Friday and return it on Sunday, and I'd be none the wiser. So, on Friday night, Ethan used the key Lucy gave him and let himself into my walk-in closet. If I were Ethan, I would have borrowed one suit at most. But Ethan was far greedier. He took an Armani suit, a pair of Cartier cufflinks, and a Vacheron Constantin watch. Loaded with his loot, Ethan casually walked out the door. Downstairs, holding all his bags, he ran right into me. I was with a few of my close friends. Mark spotted him immediately. "Hey, isn't that Ethan? Is that a Vacheron Constantin on your wrist?" Another friend chimed in, playing his part perfectly. He looked at me dramatically. "Leo, don't you have one just like that? Hey, and that suit is yours too, right? I was with you when you bought it." Ethan stood frozen. I walked toward him. I knew Ethan wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. I just didn't know he was this dumb. Faced with me walking toward him, Ethan's first instinct was to run. Well, that settled it. There might have been some room for doubt before, but that one move confirmed he was a thief. Mark and I exchanged a look. We were the number 1 and 2 sprinters on the university's track team. 30 seconds later, I had Ethan pinned down while Mark dialed 911. The value of the items Ethan stole totaled over $20,000. We had witnesses and physical evidence. The amount was significant, and the act was malicious. At the police station, Ethan was a blubbering mess, insisting that he and Lucy had an agreement. He was borrowing the items, not stealing them. I called Lucy. When she arrived, I just looked at her silently. After 6 years together, I really wanted to know what choice she would make. When I saw her face contort into an expression of pure, shocked innocence, I felt a dull ache in my chest. This woman was even worse than I had imagined. She was willing to send Ethan to hell to save herself. Sure enough, Lucy swore up and down that her key had been stolen, that she barely knew Ethan, and that she had no idea what was going on. Ethan went ballistic. "Lucy, are you even human?" He looked at me, his eyes red. "Leo, I'm telling you, Lucy and I got together last year. She told me she was only with you for your money." Lucy's face went white. She walked to my side, her lips trembling. "Leo, is this guy insane? I have no idea what he's talking about." A police officer asked Ethan, "You claim Lucy gave you the key. Do you have any proof?" "Yes, of course I do." Ethan pulled out his phone and shakily opened his messaging app. Suddenly, he froze. He stared at Lucy, trembling all over, and let out a scream as he lunged for her. "You planned this all along. You told me to delete it." 2 officers grabbed him, 1 on each side. Ethan collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. I understood. I could just imagine how Lucy had spun it to him. "Since you're about to be with this rich girl, you should definitely delete our old chat history, just in case your future girlfriend ever sees it." From the moment Ethan threatened her and she decided to give him the key, Lucy had been planning her escape route. This woman was more vicious and ruthless than I could have ever imagined. Now, she was looking at me with eyes full of innocent devotion. "You're the only one I've ever loved." Fighting back the overwhelming urge to vomit, I forced a smile. "I believe you. Lucy, your reckoning is coming." I told the police I was willing to settle the matter privately, but back at school, Ethan was still expelled. Apparently, Lucy was the one who reported his trip to the police station to the university. She couldn't tolerate him staying on campus. He was a ticking time bomb. Of course, Ethan never saw his beautiful heiress again, either. The Maserati belonged to my friend's family, and the heiress, Vivian, was Mark's cousin, the star of the performing arts department. Ethan was no saint, but I knew with absolute certainty that Lucy was the worse of the two. Yet, at that moment, Lucy showed no signs of her wickedness. She treated me like a king, doing everything she could to become the world's best girlfriend. The day she passed her interview with the investment firm, Lucy and I went out to celebrate. After a few drinks, she looked at me emotionally and said, "Leo, you're the only one who's ever been this good to me." I looked at her incredibly sincere expression and, for a split second, I wavered. But only for a second. My gut told me a wolf doesn't change its nature just because a shepherd is kind. And Lucy quickly proved my gut right. We were interning at the same company and were even assigned to the same team. During orientation, we met our third teammate, a guy who had an unmistakable air about him, the kind of relaxed confidence that comes from growing up wealthy. The other interns had already dug up his identity. He was the big boss's only son, Tristan. Lucy had been sitting next to me, but when she saw the empty seat next to Tristan, she excused herself to go to the restroom. On her way back, she conveniently sat down next to him. I sneered inwardly and kept taking notes. Lucy looked down on Ethan, but she was just as bad, if not worse. Once the internship started, I focused completely on my work, often being the last one to leave. I pretended not to see all of Lucy's subtle and not so subtle attempts to flirt with Tristan. Tristan, for his part, seemed interested in Lucy. He started asking her if she wanted coffee in the afternoons. Less than 2 weeks later, Lucy's roommate forwarded me a screenshot from their dorm group chat. I can't believe how forward guys are these days. Even the CEO's son is making moves. She was pretending to complain, but she was clearly showing off. One of the roommates who couldn't stand her shot back, "It's not like he's asked you out." Lucy didn't hold back. "Someone's bitter. I mean, come on. A grown man adds you on social media, texts you, and orders you food delivery. You think he's looking for a platonic friendship?" I almost laughed out loud reading the chat log. Tristan asked Lucy what kind of books she liked. She said she didn't read fluff and preferred publications on politics and economics. Tristan asked if she'd seen the new blockbuster movie. She said she never watched commercial films and preferred indie art house cinema. I felt a wave of shame for ever having liked such a pretentious woman. It was obvious that with the CEO's son showing interest, Lucy's heart, bruised by Ethan's gold digging, was reignited. She was feeling herself again. She started slacking off at work. When our manager criticized her during a team meeting, she'd get anxious for a moment, but she was too far behind. She hadn't learned the basics, and the mountain of Excel spreadsheets looked like gibberish to her. She asked if I could help her with some of it, but I immediately played the victim, claiming I couldn't even finish my own work. By the last month of the internship, Lucy had clearly given up. She'd just show up to clock in, mainly to see Tristan. Every time I saw them laughing and joking in the break room, I'd sigh to myself, reminded of the old fable about the cowherd and the woodcutter who play together instead of working. On Friday night, I changed out of my suit, put on a baseball cap and a mask, and went to a Japanese restaurant near the office. Tristan and Lucy were there having dinner. I sat down at a table separated from them by a screen, sipped my drink, and listened. Lucy was already getting agitated. "What? There's only one full-time offer for our team?" Tristan: "Yeah, that's inside information from my dad. Don't tell anyone." Lucy: "But there are 3 interns in our group. If only one gets to stay, are you going to take the spot, Tristan?" Tristan, of course not. My dad just wanted me to get some experience. So the offer will either go to you or to Leo. Lucy let out a sigh of relief. That's good. Tristan, could you talk to your dad for me? Tristan, I can, but a full-time offer is a serious thing. It has to go through multiple levels of approval, and there's a huge gap between your work and Leo's. Lucy, what do you mean? Tristan, haven't you noticed? While we're chatting and getting coffee, Leo is always working. I glanced at his screen the other day. His industry research and data analysis are almost done. Lucy, but Tristan, your dad? Tristan, if your work results were similar, then me begging my dad might help. But with a gap this big, even he can't force them to keep you. Lucy was silent for a long time. Finally, she said in a low voice, I understand. Okay, Tristan, you should still talk to your dad, and I'll figure out the rest. Lucy left. After her footsteps faded away, Tristan pulled back the screen and sat down across from me. He casually picked up my chopsticks, popped a piece of salmon into his mouth, and mumbled, So, how was my performance? Pretty good, right? I gave him a thumbs up. God, I'm exhausted, Tristan complained while stuffing his face. Dealing with her is so disgusting. And I had to pretend to like her. I rolled my eyes. My original plan was much simpler. You're the one who heard we were interning at your dad's company and insisted on acting this out. Your drama addiction is out of control. What else was I supposed to do? Watch my best friend get played by a user for 6 years and not step in? Tristan downed the sake in my cup. So, you think Lucy will take the bait? I smiled. Trust me, she absolutely will. She has sky-high ambitions. Seeing someone else get a better job than her is worse than death. But with that demerit on her record and her terrible reputation at school, any decent HR department will find out with a simple background check. What good company would hire her? This firm is her last chance. She used me to get the internship, and now she wants to use you to get the full-time offer. She sees men as stepping stones, climbing her way up one at a time. She's not going to fall at the final hurdle. On Saturday, Tristan came over to my place for dinner. Halfway through the meal, his phone rang. Tristan answered it, and a few seconds later, his eyes shot to me. I calmly put down my chopsticks. I knew my plan had worked. If your work results were similar. Tristan's words were Lucy's last lifeline. The deadline was this Monday. There was no way she could produce months of my work in just 2 days. That left only one option. Make sure I lost my work, too. All my research and data analysis were saved on my computer. If I submitted it on Monday, the outcome would be obvious. But if all that data disappeared, it would create chaos, and that chaos would at least give Lucy an opening to manipulate the situation. So on Saturday, when no one was at the office, Lucy snuck into the company and turned on my computer. And then she was immediately apprehended by security. Whose fault was it? Only Lucy's, for being so focused on flirting with Tristan during orientation that she didn't listen to a single word. If she had paid attention, she would have known 2 things. First, all the work we produce, including data, code, and written analysis, is the company's property. Second, every workstation is under surveillance. And the data she deleted, I had already backed it up. The company sued Lucy for damages. The amount was astronomical for her, leaving her completely overwhelmed. She tried to ask Tristan for help, but he told her he wanted nothing to do with someone who would destroy what they couldn't have and blocked her. Maybe she was cornered. Maybe she was desperately clinging to one last sliver of hope. After all was said and done, Lucy somehow turned to me as her last resort. After all, I had acted so oblivious and weak for so long, blindly trusting her every word. She cried and told me she just wanted to look at the files on my computer and had accidentally hit the delete key. We're about to get married. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. It doesn't matter if you get the job or I do, right? Why would I ever want to hurt you? She pleaded, tears streaming down her face with perfect sincerity. Leo, you have to believe me. Believe in my love for you. I have nothing left but you. I helped Lucy up. Your birthday is next week. No matter what, let's celebrate that first. Back when Lucy and I were deeply in love, we started a couple's account to document our life together. Since we were both students at a top university and were both good-looking, we even gained some fame as an academic power couple, and the account had a decent number of followers. The account hadn't been updated in months, and our followers were begging for new content. When I announced I was going to live stream Lucy's birthday party, they were all incredibly excited. Lucy's birthday party was held at our rented apartment. All of our close friends were invited. I set up the camera for the live stream. Today is Lucy's 25th birthday. First of all, happy birthday to her. On this special day, I have 3 gifts for Lucy. Lucy's face lit up with anticipation. In the past, I had given her designer bags and expensive jewelry. She had even hinted that she wanted a car this year. I turned on the projector. A flicker of disappointment crossed Lucy's eyes. 1 year for her birthday, I spent 2 weeks editing all our memories into a beautiful video. Many of our friends cried watching it, but Lucy gave me the cold shoulder for days, saying such gifts were childish. I didn't understand why she didn't like it back then. Now I finally understood, because my heartfelt effort was worthless to her. For Lucy, gifts had long lost their meaning and had become just another tool for her to bleed me dry. That's fine, Lucy. The gifts I have for you today will be ones you'll never forget. The projector flickered on. The first birthday gift is called Chat History. I displayed the screenshots of Lucy in her dorm chat, bragging about Tristan liking her on the big screen. Of course, I redacted all the key names, but everyone could clearly see the smugness behind every single word. Leo, what are you doing? Lucy stared at me in shock. I ignored her and coldly pressed the remote. And now for the second gift called Company Surveillance. Don't worry. Each gift is more explosive than the last. The surveillance footage played on the big screen. Everyone could see Lucy walk up to the workstation with the nameplate Leo, turn on the computer, enter the password, find my work file, and delete it. My voice was quiet and full of sorrow. You know, Lucy, I actually gave you a way out. The computer password was your birthday. If you had felt even a flicker of emotion when you figured it out, even a moment of hesitation, and thought about our 6 years together, you wouldn't have gone down this path. But you didn't. I bet you were just proud of how clever you were and relieved at how stupid I was. You didn't hesitate for a second when you deleted my files. Lucy tried to rush me. She knew that if this live stream continued, she would face total social annihilation. But I was prepared. I had already given everyone a heads up. 2 of the girls immediately grabbed her, 1 on each side. Lucy, I have a question for you. In the 6 years we were together, how many times did you cheat on me? The camera was pointed right at us, and the viewer count was climbing. Lucy gritted her teeth in a last-ditch effort. Never, Leo. I don't know why you're doing this to me. I already explained what happened at the company. It was an accident. You don't have to be this cruel just because you hate me. I cut her off. Fine. Then please accept my final gift. With a sense of satisfaction and cruelty, I pressed play. Online class recording. As the 2 girls held her, I saw a brief look of confusion on Lucy's face when she heard those words. The progress bar moved across the screen. The TA's lecture played steadily. Lucy didn't understand why I was showing this. She had forgotten. In her life, there must have been countless times she had met up with other guys and gotten away with it. That online class was just one of many unremarkable instances, long forgotten. The next second, the sound of running water began. The sound of a shower. The color drained from Lucy's face completely. She started struggling violently, screaming, Leo, you motherfucker, you knew all along. You've been playing me this whole time. Yes, I knew, I said, looking coldly at the woman whose face was twisted in rage. She was so ugly, so repulsive, nothing like the gentle, beautiful girl I first met. And I have you to thank for it. Thank you for forgetting to mute your mic that day and letting me see what kind of person you really are. Lucy screamed again and again, breaking free from the girls holding her. She rushed at me, and amidst the chaos, she grabbed a candlestick and threw it at me. I dodged to the side. The candlestick flew past me and slammed into the wall. Lucy stood there, a strange smile forming on her face. "Leo, you've ruined my life. I will never forgive you. Never." As if possessed, she suddenly ripped off her jacket and ran outside. Worried she would do something crazy, our friends chased after her. I followed behind and watched as Lucy ran out of the complex. She turned back and screamed at me, "I'll never forgive you. You bastard. What goes around comes around. You just wait." The next second, a car turning the corner hit her, sending her flying. The live stream caused a massive uproar online that day. But in the age of the internet, news cycles are short. Soon, a new story captured everyone's attention. After graduation, I threw myself into my work. I was promoted twice in 3 years, setting a new record at the company. My parents were thrilled, and my friends were proud of me. Later, I heard news about Ethan. An acquaintance told me he was hanging around sketchy clubs and got his leg broken by a rich older woman's husband after he kept pestering her to buy him a sports car. The acquaintance showed me a picture. He was a year younger than me, but a life of excess and constant partying had left him looking haggard. Lucy didn't die. She survived, but she needed a wheelchair. The accident might have affected her brain, because her mental state became unstable. She would wheel herself around town, and if a male passerby looked at her twice, she would chase after him, asking if he was in love with her. When a friend told me all this, I just said calmly, "Whatever happens to her now has nothing to do with me." In this life, we will face disappointment, deception, betrayal, and pain. Naturally, we want revenge. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's more important than revenge is starting a new life. I still believe in love and have the courage to love. I've seen life for what it is, and I still love it. Mark's cousin, Vivian, has been finding excuses to have dinner with me lately. The former star of the performing arts department has become a talented actress, but she always seems a bit timid around me. She asked me when the scars from a past love would heal, and if they ever did, if it would be okay to start a new relationship. I thought for a moment and told her seriously, "Love has never hurt me. What hurt me was a terrible person I met through love. But a bad person shouldn't be the reason we blame love itself." As for when it's okay to start a new relationship, I shrugged, "Whenever the time is right." Before I could finish, Vivian shot up from her seat. "Wait right here." 10 minutes later, she rushed back, holding a huge bouquet of roses, her face as red as the flowers. "Well then, how about we start now?" I smiled. I still believe in the gentleness of the world. And I believe that though the road is long and dusty, we all eventually find our way home.